Let's talk about Bitcoin. When you hear that word, your mind probably goes straight to investment, right? Holding it, watching the price. But what if I told you its biggest value for your business isn't about holding it at all, but about using it? Today, we're going to look at how Bitcoin payments are becoming this really powerful tool for growth, for cutting costs, and for unlocking brand new markets all over the globe. Okay, let's get into it.
So let me ask you this, especially if you're a business owner. Does this question hit close to home? You work so hard to make a sale, and then you watch a chunk of that money just vanish into processing fees. Or you have to wait days, sometimes a week, for your own money to actually show up in your account. It's a universal frustration for sure.
And you know, that frustration, it all comes from the old school payment systems we're all kind of stuck with. For any business trying to grow, especially internationally, these legacy systems aren't just a small headache. There are real walls standing in the way of growth. Let's break down exactly what those hidden costs are.
So the thing is, these problems all pile on top of each other. First, you've got these high credit card fees, just eating away at every single transaction. Then there's the waiting game, your money taking days to clear, which is a total nightmare for cash flow. If you sell to other countries, you're suddenly a currency trader, juggling exchange rates and conversion fees. And what about trying to reach customers in places where banking isn't great? A lot of the time, it's just impossible. Plus, every new country you sell to means a whole new maze of regulations to figure out. It just grinds everything to a halt.
Okay, so that's the mess we're in. And this is where Bitcoin enters the picture. But again, not as a speculative asset. Think of it as a modern payment rail, basically a new set of pipes built for the internet. It's designed specifically to fix the very problems we just talked about, mainly by cutting out a lot of the middlemen.
I mean, when you put them side by side like this, the difference is just, well, it's stark. It's night and day, really. Those high, unpredictable international fees, they become low and predictable. Processing time drops from days to literally minutes. Your market access goes from being stuck behind local banking walls to being open to anyone with an internet connection. And instead of juggling a dozen currencies, you're just dealing with one digital asset. The whole thing is just simpler and faster.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. This isn't about chasing the latest shiny tech trend. It's about using a practical tool to solve real, long-standing business problems.
All right, so it all sounds pretty powerful in theory, right? But the big question is, how do you actually do it? You might be thinking this is going to require a whole team of developers and a huge budget, but it's actually become surprisingly easy to get started. Let's look at the main ways you can jump in. Basically, it boils down to three main paths you can take. If you have the tech team, sure, you can do a full API integration and have total control over the experience. But for pretty much everyone else, there are these amazing no-code tools that let you get up and running almost instantly. And of course, you can always mix and match. Use different tools for different parts of your business to get the best of both worlds.
And that's the real magic here, simplicity. You can literally create a payment link and email it to a client in seconds. You can add a payment button to your website with a few clicks. You can even use point-of-sale apps for your retail shop. The point is, you don't have to rip out your entire system just to get started.
Okay, let's not beat around the bush. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, the risks. You hear all the time about volatility and security, and you know what? Those are totally valid concerns. You just need a smart strategy to manage them. So let's tackle them head on.
So the number one fear for any business, right? Price volatility. You get a payment for $1,000, but by the time you go to use it, who knows what it's worth? Well, the solution is actually super simple and pretty elegant: instant conversion to dollars. A lot of payment processors do this automatically. The moment the Bitcoin payment is confirmed, it's converted to USD in your account. So you get all the benefits of the payment rail without any of the price risk. Problem solved.
All right, next big wordy, security. Bitcoin transactions can't be reversed, which is great for getting rid of chargebacks, but it also means security is everything. The solution here is tech, like multi-signature wallets. Just think of it like a digital safe that needs 2 or more keys to open at the same time. This means no single person, or a single point of failure, can move the funds. It adds a huge layer of security.
And finally, compliance. What about the rules? It might seem like the Wild West, but there are actually clear guidelines in the US. Businesses need to know about standard stuff like Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering rules. The IRS treats Bitcoin as property, so you have to report it that way. The key takeaway is simply that a framework exists. It's not a mystery, and you can navigate it.
So, we've covered the problems, the solution, how to do it, and how to manage the risks. Now for the most important part, the bottom line. Let's look at the hard data that shows the real-world competitive advantage we're talking about.
And wow, this before and after table tells the whole story. We are not talking about small, tiny improvements here. We are talking about a 99% reduction in transaction fees, settlement times that are over 95% faster, a 27% increase in cross-border sales for businesses that enabled it. And you're opening your doors to a global market of over 420 million crypto users. These are absolutely transformative numbers.
Just let that sink in for a second. A greater than 99% reduction in transaction fees. For a company doing $1 million in sales, that could mean saving over $28,000 a year. That's money that goes straight to your bottom line.
This is your new potential market. Over 420 million people around the world who hold crypto. And studies show that most of them would actually prefer to spend it directly instead of converting it back to regular currency first.
Here's your growth lever. A survey of e-commerce businesses found that just by enabling Bitcoin payments, they saw a 27% jump in sales from other countries. It's proof that you can tap into markets that were just too hard or too expensive to reach before.
And don't forget the customer experience, a checkout process that's 80% faster. We're talking going from 15 seconds down to just 3 seconds. That means happier customers and way fewer abandoned carts. In the world of e-commerce, speed is everything.
So that brings us to our final question. When you look at all of this, the massive cost savings, the incredible efficiency, and the access to this huge untapped global market, the question isn't really why should we adopt this anymore, is it? It's quickly becoming, what is the cost of not adopting it? Can any business really afford to ignore that kind of competitive edge?